Hey everybody, Joe R here. You're a coach. Welcome to my, I haven't even counted, fourth, fifth episode of, I don't know, I don't remember. It's the fourth or fifth or sixth episode of In Real Time. It's called In Real Time because what I'm about to say is unrehearsed. I don't sort of plan everything that I'm going to say. I have sort of rough outlines and bullet points in my head. As you can clearly tell, I don't do much prep for these. And the reason why is because I want to step into my sense of discomfort in terms of just being able to communicate off the cuff, communicate some ideas that sort of synthesize different things that I'm seeing as I coach high performers in the world. And I wanted to model for others. I'm always inviting others to step into their own sense of discomfort because that's where growth is. And so I wanted to play with that with myself and what that might look like. And so that's why I started creating these videos in which I start to talk to you in real time about what's being processed for me. So I want to start by sharing my dream, why I got into coaching in the first place. I've always been a fan of mental health. I've always been sort of curious around what makes humans tick, curious around the deeper context in this sort of life that we live in. Anything that I've done in my professional life has always been undergirded by my pursuit of what it means to be human. I went into therapy in my early to mid 20s. I went into premarital counseling. I went into a career coaching field. When I was a musician, I was doing sort of artist development, and I was going deep into what drove artists and what made them create their art. And so when I really boldly stepped into this field of coaching, my dream was to work with the elites, the high achievers of the world. It still is my dream today. I wanted to work with, multimillionaires and billionaires. I wanted to understand what made their minds think, what made their minds tick. I wanted to be in rooms of people who I made up to be were much smarter and, more accomplished than me. And I want to, sort of be a renowned mindset coach in that field in order to take people to their next level of success. And this is my dream. This is why I stepped into it years ago. And it was just this year where I started to get into rooms where I didn't feel like I belonged, I started to coach individuals, high net individuals, accomplished individuals, CEOs, CFOs, VPs, startup founders, where their companies are valued at multi-millions, billions, fintech companies. I started getting in these rooms and I started to get a sense of like, are we all, no matter who we are, no matter what your external realities are we all kind of, in the inner game of life, are we all kind of confronting some of these same patterns, some of these same things? And I'd have to say, so far in my experience, I think we are. There are these same sort of binds that tie us together, that we're all facing together in an internal game of life that manifest out in the external. And I want to share a prompt with you, or a quick brief from this book that I'm rereading called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Some of you may have heard of it already. And in this, I think it really highlights what I'm starting to experience as I work with these individuals, which is, I'll share this. It says, your whole mind is a fog, which the Toltecs called a mitote. Mitote. Your mind is a dream where 1,000 people talk at the same time and nobody understands each other. This is the condition of the mind, a big mitote. And with that big mitote, you cannot see what you really are. In India, they call the mitote Maya, which means illusion. It is the personality's notion of I am. Everything you believe about yourself and the world, all the concepts and programming you have in your mind are all the mitote. We cannot see who we truly are. We cannot see that we are not free. That is why humans resist life. To be alive is the biggest fear humans have. Death is not the biggest fear we have. That's not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive. The risk to be alive and express what we really are. Just being ourselves is the biggest fear of humans. Being ourselves is our biggest fear. We have learned to live our lives trying to satisfy other people's demands. We have learned to live by other people's point of view because of the fear of not being accepted and of not being good enough for someone else. Wow, so I read that, and it's such a universal way to describe humans, right? It doesn't matter what your net worth is. It doesn't matter what your role is in your company. It doesn't matter how much you've accomplished. It doesn't matter if you're single, if you're married, if you're divorced, if if you have a learning disability, if you have a physical disability, it doesn't matter. But there's this sense of us resisting the life that wants to be given to us, the life that wants to be lived through us. And again, I still consider myself early on as a coach. I'm barely 5 years into this thing. But when I'm coaching, having the honor of working with the different vast of humans that I've engaged with, there always comes a point into our coaching in which, the risk of being alive, and I make that up as the way I translate that, it's the risk of allowing years and years of posturing, years and years of, protecting this image that you've propped up of yourself to yourself and others, years and years of protecting this part of yourself that you won't let others see, years and years of pleasing, so that you're not really truly able to be seen. So you're not, years and years of just posturing, so that you don't want to take the risk of expressing who you truly are. That is always sort of the rub that we come up against. It is, I always ask folks, like, who would you be without this story that you've lived? I was talking to a client last week, and this client was born in England, and he told me that he came up with not a lot of money, and he's a multi-millionaire now. And the story that we both uncovered together, there was this machine that was working in him in terms of just wanting to prove himself as worthy and trying to run away from this image that he had of himself as a kid, this image that he had of himself of someone that was less than, someone that wasn't worthy. And this is really the engine that was driving him to create and accomplish the things that he was creating in his life. And so, we came up to this point in our coaching where, hey, what would the world look like if that story no longer had that same meaning for you? If you were able to transcend and include. That's what Ken Wilber says. He likes to say, in this different stages in your life, learn to include the things that have brought you value, but transcend them at the same time. And so that's sort of the question I presented to this person, this client, was, what would your life look like? What would the caliber of your results look like? What would the caliber of your relationships look like if you were to somehow able to transcend and include this narrative that you've lived with for so long? And so, my friends, I'll leave it with that. I'll leave you with, What would it mean for you to live life fully, to take the risk of being fully alive? You know, what stories do you need to look back on and really take a courageous look and say, hey, this is how I operated before, and it was valuable to me and it helped me survive, but now I don't know that I need to live from that same mindset anymore. I think I'm good now, and I think I can create whatever I need to create without this story anymore. So that's it. That's it. I hope this was helpful. I'm having fun doing these random rumblings, or maybe that's what I'll call it. These random rumblings every fourth week. And you know, if you made it this far and if you've listened and it's some insight was sparked in you, would you let me know? I would really love that. Reply to this email and let me know kind of what sat with you, and let me know what was sparked and what you're starting to sit with that's different. That's it. Thanks so much. Peace and love to you all. Hope everyone have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.